Hey guys, it's Trey with Origin Stories, and I'm here with a great friend of mine. His name is Avi. I'm going to let him introduce himself and what he does before we get this conversation going.
All right, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Avi Abrams, and I've been a tour guide in Israel for the past 10 years, basically organizing private tours for families, groups, all over the country. My favorite type of tour are biblical tours. And one of the things that is my signature type of tour is called time travel tours, which I'll get into more detail a little bit later. Um, and obviously, since the various different crises that have encountered the global tourism industry and the tourism industry in Israel in particular. So we've had to alter some of the ways that we do
Yeah,
tours instead of just regular tours, because obviously there's a situation right now. There's less people coming to Israel,
right.
although there still are people coming in smaller numbers. But we're expanding now to virtual tours and online courses.
That's
So
amazing.
basically, if you can't come to Israel, we're going to bring Israel to you.
I think that is beautiful. I think a lot of people are really excited and want to tour. They want to know more. And who better than to guide them than someone who has lived there, grown up there? I have a question. Did you always want to do tours? Were you like a little kid, like showing people around? How did you get started in this? How long ago was that?
Okay. Well, actually, I didn't grow. I wasn't born in Israel.
Okay.
I am Jewish, but I was born and raised in Montreal, Canada,
Okay.
and I always wanted to do something that I'm passionate about, right? Something that I really
Yeah.
loved. Uh, and in school, everyone was, people did well in math, science. I was all right,
Mhm.
but the thing that I excelled at every single semester was history, and in particular, Jewish history. So, that was I went to a Jewish private school, so that was one of the subjects in our curriculum. And I never really thought, what can I do with that?
Mhm.
Be a teacher. That's okay. But I didn't really want to be a teacher, so I just kind of went through life and went through the motions. Um, it basically occurred to me at one point when I was studying in a religious seminary that we call yeshiva, right? And
Mhm.
over there, I was studying biblical studies. And at the same time, I had a side gig. The side gig was that because I was one of the few students that had a car in the program, so a lot of people asked me to do airport runs. So I started making a little bit of a side business out of it. Eventually, the management of the program wanted me to bring speakers from New York. This was in New Jersey, to bring from New York to New Jersey to do special events. So I started making some money on the side. And then it occurred to me. Somebody mentioned, "Hey, you like driving people around. You like the Bible. You like outdoors. Why don't you go to Israel and become a tour guide?" I said, "That's a fantastic idea." That it was like really, it just all clicked in at that point, and took me about a year to like prepare and whatever.
Yeah.
But I made the move in 2012, and
Okay.
I enrolled in what's called the Israel Tour Guide course, which is
Okay.
essentially the equivalent of a master's degree.
So there's
Uh,
actually a formal course.
it's a course, yeah. You actually have
Wow.
to go through 2 years of training, certification, and you have to pass government exams. Yeah, it's like
I had
it's
no idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not
So
every
this is
country has.
legit. This isn't just like, hey, look at this thing over here. Let me tell you a couple things about it.
No, no, no. In fact, if you're guiding in Israel without a license, you can actually get seriously fined.
Wow. I love that they hold their heritage and their history so dear,
Yeah,
that they want people to get it right.
absolutely, absolutely. It's a long history, so
It
you
is. It is.
gotta.
And foundational for not just like Jewish people, but the world. This is where everything began, really.
Sure, it's one of the earliest traces of civilization we have in the country. We have the earliest origins of religion, Judaism,
Mm,
Christianity in
mhm.
in the country. There's so much history, so much religion. It really does attract people from all over the world. And probably if there wasn't conflict here and there,
Yeah.
then there would be many more people coming to the country, to the Holy
I
Land.
I know it's on my bucket list. I want to see it. I want to have someone like you guide me through it. I feel like you can visit somewhere, but then you can like immerse yourself and be taken through. It's so different of an experience just to kind of ramble, like randomly stumble along something, but to be led by someone who took a course in it, and is passionate about it. I think that's really amazing. I'm curious, what were those early day likes in 2012 when you're first doing this? What was that like?
I mean, I was very fascinated. I'd been to Israel many times on different
Okay.
educational programs. I'd done a semester abroad at Hebrew University in Jerusalem. I was very familiar with the
Mm,
country, um, but the course was not just about going to uh, standard tourist attractions. It was really in depth. It involved like weekly lectures from
mm,
Israel's top archaeologists and tour guides and historians. And then we actually went to visit the sites. We did 85 field trips in the course of 2 years. And we just visited like everything, like what it would probably take a tourist, like, I don't know, 6 months to see. Yeah, we did that for a couple of years. Yeah.
Now, how big is the country of Israel, just so that we can get an idea about how expansive it is?
Okay, it's not a big country. Israel
Right,
is one of the smallest countries. It's
right.
actually equivalent to the size of New Jersey. And
Okay.
about 50% of the country is desert, and very few people live in the south part, in the Negev. So it's really quite a small country. But within that country, there's such a diversity of religions, such a
Hmm.
diversity of history, and even a diversity of climate.
Mm.
You can go from the north, the Mount Hermon, and go skiing, and then drive an hour and a half to the sea, to the beach. We've got mountains, we've got snow, we've got coral reefs in the south. We've got so much diversity in such a small country. It's unbelievable.
That is that is really unbelievable, like you're saying, and I think what is making my mind get crazy is just the idea of people skiing, and doing modern things like my mindset is I'm reading through Genesis. So like thinking about all these places, but like with the modern, like they're still there, they're still in existence. The places that I'm reading about, Jacob's Well and all those places, locations are able to be seen, which is amazing. But just to be like, people are skiing on that mountain? Wait a minute. It like takes my mind a second to catch up.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the beautiful things about Israel is you have the ancient,
Yeah.
the ancient side, the archaeology, and you also have the modern. It's a modern country. It's one of the best, parts of the economy is the high tech industry, the agriculture.
Mm,
Uh, there's a lot going on in terms of the modernity, and some people actually come to Israel to see that. Actually, we have a lot of tourists that come to do high tech tours,
interesting.
usually from China and from Asian countries, because they're not so necessarily familiar with the Bible and the ancient history,
Mm.
but they're more very interested in technology. So sometimes that is a high point for some groups.
That's totally fascinating. And I love that the way that you're doing your tours is a little bit maybe different because you're doing this time travel tour. Now, when you say time travel, what do you mean by that? Why is it a time travel tour?
Well, first of all, I grew up. One of my favorite movies was Back to the Future. So
Yes,
I,
same.
I always wanted to figure out, like, how could I take that movie and make it part of my life? And
Hmm.
really, like, being a tour guide, if you think about it, going from one time period to another time period,
Yeah.
literally from one site to another site, it could be just like 20 feet away or an hour away or whatever, but you're going to a different time.
Mm.
But what I've developed, that I call time travel tours, is a chronological tour of the country. Um, normally speaking, when you tour Israel, you go in a geographic order, right? You go from
Okay.
Tel Aviv up the coast to the north, and from the north down the Jordan Valley to Jerusalem, and you're seeing different sites from different time periods as you're going along. So it could get a little confusing for some people. So what I
Mm,
developed is an idea of touring Israel in the chronological order of Jewish history. So beginning with
amazing.
Abraham in the Beersheba Valley, we go through, Genesis. Obviously, not going to every single site because that would
Sure.
just be too much up and down, up and down. We're selective, so it does go in a certain order, but we're going according to the time periods from Genesis to Exodus, crossing the Jordan River with Joshua at the Jordan
Mhm.
River, going to
Amazing.
then from there going to Shiloh and talking about the story, the various different stories of the judges that happen in Shiloh, right? Like Samuel the prophet,
Yes.
and we actually go to the actual spot where the tabernacle literally stood. It's still there, and so we go through. Every day is a different theme. I've got
Mm,
First Temple period Jerusalem, Second Temple period Jerusalem. So we visit the various different sites that relate to that theme, that time period, wherever we are. So it kind of builds up like a sort of story, like a movie.
yeah.
And so by the time it doesn't stop in the biblical period. We go beyond that, all through post-biblical periods, from the Romans to the medieval period, because all through the modern period. A lot of people don't realize that even though many Jews left the country, in what we call the Jewish diaspora, there were lots of Jews that stayed in the country
Mm,
and continued, and all the various different wars between Christians and Muslims that took place. Uh,
mm.
so there's a lot to see. We go right up to the modern period, the state of Israel, and all the various different wars that happened. We visit battle sites and go all the way up to the 21st century.
That is so thorough. That's amazing to be able to do that in did you share how long the tour is? Is
I
that a
know
2 week?
that's a 12-day tour. Yeah.
Okay, 12 days. Oh my gosh, the entire history of the world, basically, or as it applies to Israel in 12 days sounds breathtakingly amazing. I do have a question. Who's your favorite character? Can you pick one? Do you have a favorite?
From
You're
Back to
like,
the
oh,
Future.
this is my favorite character that you talk
Oh, in
about
the
on your
Bible.
tour.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I'm just trying to figure it out. My favorite character that I speak about on my tours. That's a good question. My favorite character in the Bible, I would say, is Joseph. Um,
I just finished reading his life this morning, so that's kind of funny how that lines up.
right, right. And we can see, many of the places that Joseph, was as a
Mm,
youth. Obviously, when he was older, he was in Egypt.
right.
But that's when I think about the Bible, that's my favorite character because of his faith and because of his
Yeah.
just unconditional love for his brothers.
Yeah.
Um, but so many different characters pop up when I do my tours. I mean, literally from one time period to the next. Um, I don't know if I have a favorite, but from the Bible, it would be Joseph. Yeah.
Yeah, he led such an inspiring life and like you're saying, encouraged us in our faith to keep moving forward even when it seems like it's horrible, that there is light in every situation. Um, so I am curious, as you're taking these tours, as you are kind of traveling through the land, do you have additional help? Are people helping you through the tours, or is it just you and your band of people? What does a tour look like? What does a typical day look like for you?
Well, yeah, so there is the logistical component. So I have a team that basically, takes care of, hotel accommodations and that kind of thing, transportation,
Yeah.
reservations at the sites, all that stuff. And then they're in sync with me and I'm in sync with them. And it's all, coordinated, uh, you know, in the back office.
Yeah.
But what's it like? It really depends what type of group. So if it's
Mhm.
just like a family and we're traveling in the vehicle, and I'll be the driver, or sometimes it'll be a larger family. We'll have a separate driver. We'll be in a minibus.
Mhm.
So in that case, I'll get on the mic and I'll be able to speak more about all the things we're looking at from the different angles. Um, and if I'm driving, so I mean, I can't like turn my head, but I can
Right.
talk about in general what we're seeing and where we're going. My favorite is when I get a big bus, a large bus of like 30, 40 people, 50
Mhm.
people, because there's a lot of energy there. And for me,
Yeah.
I'm the type of guide where I feed off people's energy. I
Mm.
do. That's That's what I do. So, sometimes we get groups. The type of groups that are, like my niche market, really are like evangelical Christians. To tell you the truth,
Mm.
they come in with such a good spirit. They've been waiting for decades to get to Israel.
Yes.
And they're, you got the pastor playing the guitar, and they're all singing and praying, and they're just so happy to be there. And
Mhm.
they have so many questions.
Yeah.
Um, you know, some questions, you can ask your local pastor or religious leader, but some things, when it comes to the details of
Mm.
Israeli geography and Israeli
Yeah.
history and Judaism and the details of what's happening here in the country and the politics. So not every pastor, not every religious leader is going to be able to answer that. So that's where I come in.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. So now that you've pivoted your business, you talked a little bit about how, okay, you're not able to be there right now. Maybe tours aren't able to happen. So how has that shift gone for you with taking these, intimate things that you're able to do with people on site? How does that translate into a virtual tour these days?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So, when this whole thing happened,
Yeah.
I had to figure out a way to still, making Israel relevant when not everyone can come to Israel. So I
Mm.
developed virtual tours. Basically, over the past decade, I've accumulated lots of video footage and photos and, 360-degree cams
Mm.
and drone footage and also professional footage from outside
Yeah.
of my work. And when you just put that together, so what I do, what I've done is I have, like, let's say, we're doing the virtual tour. Okay, so the way it's structured is like this. Um, if I have, like let's say, a 10-day itinerary, so the client will choose one of the days, or it could be all 10 days, but usually they choose 1 or 2 days, and that will be that itinerary is what I'll present. Now, usually a full day tour is 8 hours, but when you
Yeah.
minus out the travel time, when going around with the groups and bathrooms and entrances, it actually condenses down to about 2 hours, right? Because
Yeah.
traveling from city to city, or so it can be done in a quicker period of time. And so I go through as I'm speaking, as I'm guiding, just like right now, you'll see a virtual background of Jerusalem in the background. So there will be not just pictures. Sometimes I'll have slideshows and stuff, like different pictures, and sometimes I'll have videos, but of the specific site that I'm talking about. So if we're in, you know, um, Caesarea,
Mm.
right? Where they have the Roman theater, you have the palace of King Herod, you've got the Hippodrome, you've got different sites, the port. So if I'm at the Roman theater, so you'll see different visuals, different views, sometimes footage, sometimes pictures of that theater as I'm speaking. And then we'll move to the Hippodrome, and you'll see the same thing of the Hippodrome, different angles, different perspectives. So as I'm speaking, you kind of get the feel that you're actually there. That's the idea.
That's amazing. I think, it is hard. The world is really challenging right now to travel, to go to places, especially places that are war torn. I love that you're bringing this virtual, that we can still experience it, that people that want to have that experience can still learn. It sounds a lot like it would be similar to a college lecture or a high school lecture, where you could maybe even piece together a history course from what you're doing. Is that something that people could do?
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Um, I actually have, in addition to virtual tours, I have online courses. We have for example, an 8 week Israel history course that we do with college students.
Wow.
And I also have a series of lectures that I have done and can continue to do. That's not necessarily a virtual tour with visuals in the background, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's me speaking and engaging and answering questions and everything. For example, I have some topics over here for lectures. I've got lessons from the Hebrew Bible, biblical archaeology in the Holy Land, 4,000 years of Jewish history, uh,
Wow.
a guide to the Jewish people, Judaism explained, science in the Bible, religions of planet Earth, and Israel advocacy 101.
That sounds like such a vast amount of information that you're able to share, and the visual part. It sounds like the complete tour and the complete package when it comes to understanding your Jewish culture and Israel as a whole. I'm so excited that I was able to talk with you and share with people about what you're offering. Now, as an entrepreneur, I love to know if you have any advice for other entrepreneurs, maybe not if someone wants to be a tour guide, what to do in that case, but just thinking, okay, what would be a piece of advice that you would share with an entrepreneur, maybe as they're just starting out?
Yeah, so I think it's really important, first of all, that you find something that you're naturally good at, right?
Mm,
Like something that it's not an effort to learn. Obviously, even something that you're naturally good at, of course, you got to scale it, you got to improve your skills, but you got to start from somewhere. You got to start from something that you like, if there was no money involved, you would just want to do it anyway, right?
yeah.
And then dive into that and improve that and build on that. So that's what I would say. Just first find something that you love, and then work with that.
I think that's great advice because as entrepreneurs, we get to do this amazing thing. And who wants to wake up and go, oh, wow, I have to do that?
Right.
It's much
Exactly.
better when you want to do it, you love to do it. I know for me, I'm a storyteller. That's what I love to do. I love to help people with their stories. I love to engage people. Now, one thing also that I was curious if you had advice on, you had to do a major pivot. You had to make a big, huge shift. What would be your encouragement to someone that's hit a roadblock or maybe had a big failure or had something happen where they had to shift? What would be an encouragement for you that you could give them?
So yeah, especially in today's changing world, things are changing so rapidly. Politics, the economy, and sometimes you think like, wow, this is going to work out, and it doesn't quite work out.
Yeah.
But it could work out maybe in a different way, right?
Mm,
So you have to realize that it would be nice if like everything was just static and stable, but it's not. The world changes, so we have to adapt. We have to be able to have some sort of adaptability,
mm,
the ability to change and adapt to the different changing circumstances that are happening. And like for if you can't do something one way, maybe there's another way that you can do it, right?
yeah.
So just not that you need to change professions or change careers or
Mm,
totally change what you're doing. Keep what you're doing, but maybe just find a different way to do it,
yeah.
maybe a different market. I started
Mhm,
off guiding mostly families. And then I
mm,
realized that the people that love my stuff, because I'm into the Bible, I'm into history, the
yeah.
people that eat that stuff up are evangelical Christians. So that was
Yeah.
the market that I went through. That wasn't what I was planning or thinking about when I first started, but that was what ended up the direction I ended up going in. So I think just be open-minded, have an open mind and open heart, and just follow the path that God puts in front of you.
I think that's incredible encouragement. Sometimes all we need to do is make a little change, one little tweak, and then you find your niche. Where can people get in touch with you? How can they find out about your virtual tours, your courses? Do you have a website that we can go to?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's well, Avi Abrams, IsraelTours.com. Avi Abrams,
Perfect.
AVI and then ABRAMS, Avi Abrams, IsraelTours.com. So you can go there, you can get the contact page, you can send me an email, and I'll be happy to be in touch with everyone. And if you need a virtual tour, a live class, online course, lecture, whatever it is, I'm happy to help.
I know. I'm still excited about the possibility of offering homeschool courses. I think this would be an incredible homeschool course. I only have an 8-year-old right now, but I think I can't wait until she's a little bit older because I think this would make a wonderful history course. Thanks so much for chatting today and for sharing your passions for these virtual tours and for all that you do to share about your culture and your heritage. I will be sharing down in the box all your information, and so people can get connected with you. So thanks so much for joining me.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Trey, for having me on the program, and God bless.
All right. Bye.